Ike, Jim Thorpe, and the birds are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 28th, 2022. It is the 87th day of the year. We got 278 days left. It is your 13th Monday in your 14th week and the 9th day of spring. We got 85 days left until summer. Today is National Weed Appreciation Day. It's not for hippies. This is the normal weed. National Weed Appreciation Day on March 28th each year reminds us that some weeds are beneficial to us and our ecosystem. Humans have used weeds for much of recorded history. I mean, everything from herbs to just food. Some are edible and nutritious, while other weeds have medical values. So today is Weed Day. Go out and appreciate that thing growing between the cracks in your cement. All right, let's see what else March 28th has given us. 1776, Juan Bautista de Anza finds the site for the Presidio of San Francisco. 1854, the Crimea War. France and Britain declare war on Russia. Yeah, they've been having problems with this place for a very long time. 1862, the American Civil War. In the Battle of Glorieta Pass, Union forces stopped the Confederate invasion of the New Mexico Territory. The battle began on March 26th and ended on the 28th. Now, this was a much forgotten portion of the Civil War. It happened out west. A Confederate general who was stationed in New Mexico prior to the Civil War gave up his commission and went to Virginia to talk to the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, and told him he had a great plan to take over New Mexico, Nevada, and California, get all the gold and silver and most of the railroad out west. Needless to say, it didn't go well. It was a good battle, though. Went on for a couple days. 1920, the Palm Sunday tornado outbreak of 1920 affects the Great Lakes region and the Deep South states. This was huge. Big storm. There were 37 confirmed tornadoes, and it killed 153 people, and at least 1,200 were injured. 1946, the Cold War. The United States Department of State releases the Ashton-Lilienthal Report outlining a plan for the international control of nuclear power. 1979, a coolant leak at 3 Mile Island's Unit 2 nuclear reactor outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, leads to the core overheating and a partial meltdown. 1990, the United States President George H.W. Bush posthumously awards Jesse Owens the Congressional Gold Medal. 2005, an earthquake shakes northern Sumatra with a magnitude of 8.6, killing over 1,000 people. 8.6, that's serious. The strongest earthquake ever recorded was in 1960, and it was 9.4. Movies released on March 28, 1963, The Birds. This is an Alfred Hitchcock classic about a San Francisco socialite who is caught in the middle of a strange bird attack in Northern California. This movie had Tippi Hedren, Suzanne Pleshette, and Jessica Tandy, along with Rod Taylor. This movie freaked me out as a kid. I watched it a couple times, and I watched it too young, I think, because I was kind of afraid of birds for a while there. I just thought this was going to happen, where birds were just going to be attacking people, you know. Birds had had enough of slingshots and everything else like that. They just decided to take it out on any human being they could see. That's what I thought was going to happen to me, and that's how I thought I was going to die. Years later, that fear was replaced after I saw Jaws. Born on January 28th, 1981, Julia Stiles. She's an actress. I like a lot of the things she was in, known for her performance in romantic comedies such as Save the Last Dance, Mona Lisa Smiles, and most notably 10 Things I Hate About You along with Heath Ledger, and she was in the Jason Bourne movies with Matt Damon. So today it's going to be a little bit different. We're getting 2 deaths because they're both very important. Died on March 28th, 1953, Jim Thorpe, Native American athlete who played football, baseball, was in the Olympics back in the 1910s and 20s. He was inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1963 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 1951. He actually was a twin. His twin brother died when they were 9. He was stripped of his Olympic medals when it was found that he'd received money for playing semi-pro baseball for 2 years prior to the Olympics. At the time, only amateur athletes were allowed to compete in the Olympics. Jim Thorpe was born in 1887 in Oklahoma, and he actually died not too far from my childhood home. It's like the next town over, Lomita, California. I was born and raised in Torrance, California. After his playing days, even during his playing days, he kind of suffered from alcoholism. And towards the end of his life in the 1950s, he had gotten lip cancer. and there was a press conference. He was admitted as a charity case, one of the greatest athletes of all time, and he was a charity case to the hospital to get a procedure done. And at that press conference they had when they admitted him, his wife started crying and said, "Jim's broke. We're broke. All he has is his name." He was taken advantage a lot. He'd given out a lot of his money to friends and helped people and stuff, and he was kind of the victim of a lot of fraud and people conning him out of his money. While eating dinner at his home with his wife Patricia in Alameda, California, he had a heart attack and collapsed on the floor. They took him to the hospital. He gained consciousness briefly, talked to the people around him, and then passed away on this day in 1953. He was only 65 years old. Died on March 28, 1969, Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was the 34th President of the United States, who was a 5-star general in the Army and Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces during World War II. Every president has its good and its bad. Some people will say this president's great because of one thing, and then others say the same president, they point out the negatives. Nobody's perfect. All presidents have done something wrong, and they've done some great things. I think Dwight D. Eisenhower gave us one of the greatest gifts, and we didn't pay attention to it. When he was leaving the White House, the end of his term, he held a press conference. And in that press conference, he warned the United States of the military-industrial complex, basically the people that supply us weapons, and how they would control the country if we didn't watch out for it. They kind of do. There's all kinds of conspiracies and this and that about the Gulf War was actually the military-industrial complex kind of pushing us to go to war so they could make more money, sell more weapons. And there's a lot of conspiracies that go around this, but they do have an incredible amount of control over our politicians. Well, he did this speech a couple nights before he left the White House, and it was one of those ones that went on every channel and everyone talked about it. There's a great documentary called Why We Fight. And it talks about the speech and what he was saying and how things have happened since then. It's very interesting. If you get a chance, definitely watch that. He was a moderate conservative who campaigned in 1952 against communism, Korea, and corruption. That was a big thing for him. He felt there was way too much corruption in Washington, D.C. No matter where you go, there's going to be a little bit of corruption, but he just felt it was out of control, and that was something he was trying to stamp out. Well, so was the guy before him, Harry S. Truman. His grandson, Dwight David II, is married to Richard Nixon's daughter, Julie. They got married in 1968. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.